Daddy, am I going to get big like Mommy? After hearing these words coming out of the mouth of our frightened 11-year-old daughter, my wife collapsed on the couch with tears crawling down her face. After all she'd done, she exercised every single morning, jogging, crunches, squats until she felt nauseous. She ate healthy, oats, spinach, steamed chicken, green salad, and nothing after 6 p.m. She did keto, paleo, Atkins, intermittent fasting. She gave up carbs and fat and salt and sugar and even food altogether. She drank gallons of lemon water. Exhausted, sore, and always starving, she got on that scale, barely daring to look at it. But the numbers were the same. The numbers never went down. She felt heartbroken and worthless, buried inside her body. Her life ruled by her belly fat. Then a horrifying realization hit her. She might have to live like this forever, overweight for the rest of her life, always prone to people staring and judging her. So when my wife looked up at me and said, "I wish I could just disappear forever," she tore my soul apart, leaving me helpless and angry that the kind woman I love so much had to suffer through so many restrictions, exercises, and medical visits, all for nothing. It was the most heart-wrenching moment in our marriage, and it pains me even more to tell you what happened next. But there's a good reason I need you to hear this story today. Because it was the precise moment that sent me on a completely unexpected 2-year-long journey through the dark underbelly of the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry, and eventually led me to the discovery of a completely natural and inexpensive method that would change the lives of tens and thousands of women and men all around the world. A 5-second write from a small, forgotten village in Japan that left doctors in shock and transformed my 48-year-old wife's life and body completely while supporting a healthy heart, arteries, joints, and blood sugar levels. After years of torturous, useless diets, she succeeded in melting 72 pounds of pure ugly fat from her belly, arms, back, hips, and thighs, going from this to this. By effortlessly getting rid of 1 pound per day, overcoming her severe depression, and regaining her energy and sex drive. Despite what you've been led to believe, the root cause of your belly fat and weight gain has absolutely nothing to do with how much you diet or starve yourself, how many times you exercise, whether you cut carbs or sugar or fat or all of them. And it's not about your thyroid, hormones, metabolism, or age either. Instead, as groundbreaking scans have proved it, the real cause of belly fat has everything to do with something deeply disturbing that's happening inside your brain at this very moment. And once you'll discover what it is, you'll have the power to burn 1 pound of raw fat per day, kill food cravings, and stop your body from storing excess weight. No matter if you're a male or a female, 30 or 70 years old, no matter how long you've been trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to lose 10 pounds or 100 pounds, and no matter your medical condition. This natural, safe method has been kept secret by the noble Japanese samurai for centuries, can help you burn fat faster than an 18-year-old in just 5 seconds per day. You won't have to set foot in the gym, count calories, or give up any of your favorite foods in the process. In the next 5 minutes, you'll find out why 95% of all popular diets are meant to fail and how internet health gurus are covering everything up. The absolute worst exercise that you should never ever do, especially if you're overweight, no matter how much fitness experts recommend it. Why overweight people actually have a higher metabolism than people with normal weight, yet still can't get thinner. Hint, metabolism boosting tricks are a big hoax. How an accidental American experiment uncovered the culprit that's forcing your body to make fat deposits in your stomach while hiding deep inside your brain. And the clinically proven, simple 5-second ancient method that you can use starting today to constantly shed 1 stubborn pound after another while taking care of your arteries, joints, and blood sugar levels, along with all the studies and tests that prove how it works. It's absolutely crucial you stick with me until the very end of my story while you still have the chance, because I don't know how much longer I'll be able to keep this presentation online. The weight loss industry is worth $72 billion in the US alone. These people are perfectly happy to shatter your physical and mental health, trying to make you think their crazy shake diets or extreme cardio sessions are the only way, especially when doing so makes them rich and famous. Honestly, if these things really worked, Americans would all be supermodels by now. It's only logical that they're scared that my method can put them out of business overnight. They don't want you fit and slim. They want to keep you a customer for life. So please keep listening, because this information could save your life or the life of your loved one. Just imagine what it would feel like to never have to worry about deadly health complications, about the cruel things that those around you are saying behind your back, or what your spouse is really thinking when he or she sees your naked body. Instead, you wake up every day thinner and thinner, and actually see how your belly is getting flatter and flatter, and how your love handles and back fat are slowly vanishing. Climbing on the scale feels like Christmas morning, as every day the numbers are going down like clockwork. You're eating all your favorite snacks and treats guilt-free whenever and wherever you want. Your hair and skin look vibrant and youthful. You're full of vitality, dressed up in sexy tight clothes. Everyone is dumbstruck when they lie their eyes upon you, desperate to know your secret. So let's not waste any more time. It's time you broke free from the stomach fat jail. My name is Sam Hansen. I'm 48 years old and live in a small town near Chicago, Illinois, together with my dear wife Angela and our two beautiful daughters. I want you to know right from the beginning that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a clever nutritionist nor a professional trainer. I'm a normal guy who works as a proud 911 dispatcher. It's a crucial job where every second matters. Over time, I've taken a lot of calls from car crashes to life and death situations. And with every year, I find out that most of the people suffering from cardiac arrest or severe lung and digestive problems are overweight. It's like their bodies turn on them in the blink of an eye. 1 minute they're fine, the next second an ambulance rushes them to the ER. That's why 2 years ago, I was really worried about my wife, Angela. Now, Angie and I are high school sweethearts. We got married in our 20s and got blessed with our two daughters in our 30s. Now, Angie was never the skinny type, but she was what you would call a hottie. Right? Guys were always checking her out, and I got all jealous all the time. But after her first and second pregnancy, she started putting on weight. At first 20 pounds, which never went away, then another 35. And she tried everything. We spent our holiday money and then money we didn't have on home gym equipment, popular diets and meal plan deliveries, personal trainers, gym memberships with crazy Zumba classes and whatnot. She got measured and scanned by doctors and nutritionists, BMI, fat percentage, water percentage, metabolic rate, you name it. Okay? No personalized solution helped her. And after every attempt to lose weight, she was stuck with another 1 or 2 pounds. It was almost like the body was getting back at her. Now, since she also had relentless headaches and was always tired, losing her breath even after a few steps, we decided to go to the doctor. Now, after examining her, he said, "Your blood pressure is high. You're at a serious risk of a heart attack. Now, I'd recommend you lose some weight," he added indifferently. Listen, I swear, I'm not a violent guy, but in that moment, I could have just thrown him out the window. No later than a week after, we received an invitation to our 30-year high school reunion, and it turned our lives around. Now, Angie didn't want to go. Okay, she was ashamed of the way she looked. She had gained almost 60 pounds since high school. Now, how could she show her face? Nonsense. Everyone always loved you, I said. Now, convinced that a little partying with old mates would cheer her up. Now, she spent 4 long hours at the mall trying to find a dress and a pair of heels that could fit her. At the end of the shopping session, she was drained. She seemed, lost and just defeated. Now, on the night of the reunion, she made a great effort to climb to the spiraling stairs to the ballroom. Now, when we arrived at the top to greet everyone and have her picture taken, she was all sweaty. Okay, I could tell that she felt uncomfortable. She forced herself to smile and tried to hide her tummy all the time with a big scarf that she had around her neck. Now, not long into the celebration, I knew that putting herself through this event was the worst mistake I could ever make as a husband. Even to this day, it pains my heart to say this, but it was obvious she weighed more than anyone in the room. Sure, there were other colleagues who had let themselves go. Nobody looked like they were in their prime years, but Angie was unrecognizable. Now, one of them even asked, "Where's Angie?" thinking we got divorced or something. Absolutely no one complimented her on her looks, even though they all complimented each other. All she got were surprised looks, long stares, and awkward salutes like, "Well, it's great to see you." Meanwhile, I try not to stare at some of my ex-classmates. Some of the women look dazzling, sexy and confident, wearing tight dresses and prancing around like divas. I felt guilty and disgusted with myself. Now, it was not long past midnight when she whispered desperately, please, let's go. Now, I got up the next second and we left. Now, in the car, Angela cried her heart out. She told me that she never felt more humiliated and that she never wants to go out of the house. I tried to comfort her, telling her how much I loved her, but I only made things worse. Now, nobody has told me I'm beautiful in 20 years, she blurted out. Not even you. Now, the second day, she refused to get out of bed, and every time I tried to reason with her, we ended up in a horrible fight. Now, Sarah, our youngest daughter, she must have overheard some parts of these fights because she came into our room with fearful eyes. Daddy, am I going to be big like Mommy when I grow up? With this question, I knew Angie had hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. Now, the truth was, Sarah might not have been the skinniest kid in her class, but she was certainly not overweight. Now, nevertheless, she barely touched her food that week. I cooked everything from her favorite foods to healthy salads. I ordered in. I took her to the restaurant. No use. With my wife so depressed, she couldn't even cry anymore. And my daughter in some kind of hunger strike, I was on my knees praying for a miracle to happen. Now, none of them were talking to me. I laid awake for hours in bed many nights, tossing and turning, looking at Angie while we slept, worrying, what might happen if I could never get her back on her feet. Now, her mental health getting worse, her arteries deteriorating, her, breathing becoming heavier and heavier. I had to do something. Now, I sure wasn't going to stand back and watch how our marriage, our family was just falling apart. Now, I had to find a solution that could make her feel proud of her body and, put that warm smile I miss so much back on her face and, get my Sarah to eat like a normal child again. So one night, I got in front of the computer and started my quest. There was one question in particular that kept haunting me. That is, why do some people gain weight or become obese even though they eat the same foods as ones that stay thin? I mean, we all know that, that skinny friend out there who can eat burgers and fries at 2 a.m. in the morning, it's like they're Teflon for fat. So after spending endless hours glued to my chair, here's what I discovered. As you may already know, fat cells lie behind how you gain and lose weight. Now, when you gain weight, they expand. And when you lose weight, they contract. So there's nothing too fancy here. Now, when fat cells grow, they release a hormone called leptin. Now, leptin controls our hunger or how we feel. Now, when leptin levels are low, we feel hungry and crave calories. When leptin levels are high, we feel full and satisfied. Now, there's no surprise if you've heard of leptin before, but wait until you hear the whole story. Many scientists explored leptin as a possible treatment for weight gain. They even called it the anti-obesity hormone. Then things went south during an experiment. They believed that overweight people couldn't produce enough leptin. So they thought that giving them leptin would raise levels, which would signal them to stop overeating. But when they started giving it to people, it didn't work so well. Leptin is made by fat tissue. And as you get bigger, you make more of it. Now, that was quite a shock because everybody thought that obese people were going to be deficient in leptin. In turn, they had a lot of it, and in giving them more had zero positive effects. It actually made things worse. But scientists at Virginia Commonwealth University didn't give up. After more tests, they realized leptin mattered, but not in the way they thought. It wasn't about leptin deficiency, it was about something else, something called leptin resistance. As you already know, excess energy from food is converted into fat and stored in our fat cells. When your fat cells get bigger, they release leptin to signal your brain and body to stop eating. Now, that's when you should easily put down your fork and knife and stay slim. But instead, leptin resistance occurs. Now, as the leptin signals don't reach your brain doesn't get the message that you're full. Instead, you continue to feel hungry and keep eating until it becomes a vicious cycle. So in leptin resistance, your leptin is high, which means your body gets fat, but your brain can't see it. In other words, your brain is starved while your body is obese. And that's what obesity is. It's brain starvation. I felt I was onto something. Unfortunately, most studies seem to stop here. The medical and scientific community shook their hands over leptin resistance being the cause of weight gain. But for me, the case remained unsolved. What causes leptin resistance in the first place? Luckily, I came across a quote from Robert H. Lustig, MD, a member of the Endocrine Society's Obesity Task Force, who said, "Fat seems to block leptin transport into the brain. In order to make your leptin work, you have to let the signaling occur." Now, because if your brain can't see the leptin signal, you're going to get obese. Now, as a 911 operator, it all made perfect sense to me. With every signal or message, there's a sender and a receiver. Now, the fat cells are calling to say, "Hey, emergency here," but the brain is not answering the phone call to give the right instructions. So the emergencies keep piling up on your stomach, on your hips, and your thighs. But who receives the leptin signal inside the brain? Well, that's when I discovered a brain scan that had me doing mental flips. It might not seem like much, but in it you can see a brain molecule that's called leptin receptor, or OBR. The great majority of these leptin receptors are found in your brain in a section called the hypothalamus. But guess where else these can be found? Around the stomach area. Now, following the leptin receptor's path, I finally cracked the leptin resistance mystery as two little-known scientific breakthroughs revealed how it can be treated. The first one came from the Warsaw Medical University and analyzed leptin receptors in depth. Now, the Polish researchers suggested that relatively weak signal through OB/RB, or leptin receptors, observed in these obese patients may explain leptin resistance in these patients. The other one, done by the researchers at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, pointed out that when fat cells increase in size, as they do during the development of obesity, the cells lose receptors for the hormone leptin. And they continue with the mind-blowing statement: "We now think that people with naturally high levels of leptin receptors may not gain weight as rapidly as people who have low level of leptin receptors." And Dr. Unger from the UT Southwestern Medical Center says it could explain why some people can eat more and do not gain weight. Now, the solution: strengthen the existing leptin receptors and produce new ones. It was amazing. The key to weight loss doesn't lie in the belly nor in the stomach. The key to weight loss is deeply rooted inside your brain. And you can eat healthy, exercise, diet, you name it. There's no one at the end of the line to get the message. Your body and brain won't register your efforts. Now still, after being overwhelmed with joy for everything I discovered, I realized that the one piece was still missing. How can you strengthen the existing leptin receptors and produce new ones? I was stuck yet again. But there must be a higher power up there, because a few days later, I received the photos from our high school reunion. And one of those photos made everything fall into place. Now here's why. In that photo was Alan. You see, Alan was one of my old friends from high school. Now back then, he was a shy, kind of nerdy guy who always got teased about his weight. He weighed around 230 pounds. But now, you could barely recognize him. He turned into some kind of Greek god. He looked spectacular, slim, young, radiant. Women all over the room were shamelessly devouring his every move. Now, what in the world could he have done? Sold his soul to the devil? I was both too desperate and too curious not to ask him. So I called him. Now, even though I was embarrassed, I told him everything. That Angie refuses to get out of bed, and Sarah refuses to eat, and that our marriage was on the rocks. Now, even though I expected him to act distant, as so many years had passed, he was incredibly compassionate and understanding. "Listen, Sam, I'd be more than happy to help Angie. After all, she was the only one who didn't make fun of me. I'm sure I can help you." But he paused. "This is not something I can tell you over the phone." So we met in a little Italian restaurant in Chicago. He ordered a pepperoni pizza and a tiramisu cake for dessert and began eating with no remorse whatsoever. How in the world do you do it? My jaw was dropping. Then he told me things to this day, even though I know for sure they're 100% true, still seem unreal to me. Alan had struggled to lose weight for as long as he could remember. So he got hired at one of America's biggest weight loss companies. Those guys had an annual revenue of over $1 billion, selling personalized meal plans, shakes, and fitness programs. Now, he worked there for 10 years with free access to all their products. He did not lose 1 pound. So Alan revealed the 3 biggest weight loss lies that put your life at risk while filling fat cats' pockets. The whole industry was a scam, claiming to help you lose weight, but actually making you fatter, rotating fitness challenges, and one popular diet after another. Listen, when was the last time you went on a diet, maybe lost some weight, and the weight stayed off for good? I'm guessing never. This is the first biggest weight loss lie. Diets help you lose weight. Listen, calorie counting is nonsense. It isn't useful since it was proven over and over again that people respond differently to foods with the same number of calories. Plus, the biggest problem isn't losing weight, it's maintaining the new weight. That's where all diets fail, because they leave your brain and body in the survival mode, weak and hungry for calories, ready to deposit every single bit of fat you should ever pull the starving trick again. Our research shows that 95% of all diets fail, and 66% of the people who diet end up putting on more weight. Even worse, dieting was proven to be the cause of hair thinning, osteoporosis, and fatigue. Cut carbs as they preach to you in keto diets, and you'll be low energy all day. Eliminate fat, and you'll be dizzy and unable to focus. Say no to meat, and you might say no to your hair. At best, every food cut results in severe vitamin deficiencies and poor digestion. What's in it for you at the end? More weight. To really lose weight and keep it off for life, you need to go at the root cause, leptin resistance, not just treat the symptoms. When you diet, you are trapped in the leptin resistance, and weight loss companies make their profits by keeping you in this cycle for life. It's a business model. You know what else they make money off of? Second biggest weight loss lie, exercise helps you lose weight. There are 60 plus serious studies on this subject. While 100% of the energy we get comes from food, we can burn only 10% of it with physical activity. This happens only if you work out really, really hard. A 2019 study showed that people who exercise increase their food intake. So let's say you burn 500 calories in 1 hour of fast jogging, because this is how long it takes. Your body will automatically enter survival mode, and when it sees food, will send you the message to compensate for the lost energy. Chances are you add at least 350 calories to your meal. Plus, if you're even 20 pounds overweight, you're risking serious injuries because you're putting a lot of stress on your joints, especially with cardio exercises. Think about the contestants from top weight loss shows. They were all wrapped up in wristbands and bandages. In conclusion, exercise in moderation is good for your health, but it does nothing for your belly fat. With that, we go to the third biggest weight loss lie. Slow metabolism keeps you from losing weight. Now, this one was really shocking for me. Overweight people actually have a higher metabolism than people with a normal weight. Your metabolism is in every cell of your body. Now, most of the energy you burn is from your resting metabolism, meaning energy used for your body's normal daily functions. Now, the more cells you have, yes, even fat cells, the higher your metabolism. Plus, get this, medical experiments uncovered the fact that you cannot speed up your metabolism for weight loss. This is just another myth. No diet, exercise, or metabolism speeding trick will help you achieve the figure you're dreaming of. Now, don't get discouraged though, because in just 1 minute, I'll reveal to you Alan's secret. Now, after seeing all of my research, Alan was quite impressed. Well, this explains a lot why my sacred mixture works. Mixture? What sacred mixture? Fed up with his disappointing job, Alan decided to go on a spiritually healing journey, which turned out to be his weight loss journey. For 3 years, he followed little-known paths that guided him into the depths of hidden forests or in the middle of ancient mountains. He had one hope, to pick the brains of some of the greatest, wisest healers in the world. And all the healers, from mysterious shamans to experienced doctors that were banished from their hospitals because they dared to question the crooked medical system, seem to have one saying: if the mind heals, the body follows. Even though giving up was not an option, carrying all of his extra weight with him was excruciating, until he arrived in a small, forgotten village in East Asia, Japan, where his body changed almost overnight. Japan is the country with the lowest obesity rate. Even though Japanese eat fatty fish, pork, and beef, along with carb-filled noodles and rice, plus all sorts of insane snacks, they are the slimmest nation in the world. Now, as Alan was about to discover, it's because starting with their ancestors, they're used to consuming 3 sacred medicinal mushrooms used for centuries as food for the brain and body. Now, first, there's maitake, known as the king of mushrooms, once hunted and consumed by the Japanese samurai, who used to dance when they'd finally find it. Now, this wonder mushroom is so strong, it is used against brain tumors. Now, maitake contains a magic active element known as diffraction, which lowers blood pressure, regulates blood sugar levels, and causes your body to burn instead of storing fat. It also has the ability to nourish the liver with trace minerals. Now, shiitake is a wild black mushroom that helps with brain tissue growth and has been proven to influence the dietary receptors. During an experiment, shiitake have been found to inhibit fat storage even in subjects fed a high-calorie diet. Now, specialists believe the shroom can be effective in lowering cholesterol too. Now, last but not least, reishi, called the Supreme Protector, can reduce fat deposited beneath the skin by up to 59%. Now, thanks to its ability to regenerate brain cells and nerves, the mushroom has beneficial effects on brain receptors and mental health, reducing dizziness, fatigue, and stress, and improving memory. After taking a small bowl of the fresh mixture made from these potent mushrooms, Alan remembered waking up 4 pounds lighter the very next morning. He limited himself to a small spoon for 2 more weeks until he arrived in South America, where he got the chance to test something else. Graviola leaves, or the Brazilian powwow, comes from a small evergreen tree and are rich in antioxidants, which have the unique power to regenerate brain receptors and purify body cells by hunting the disease-causing free radicals and destroying them. You can think about it as a complete detoxifier that regulates glucose levels as well. Alan's last stop was in Central Africa, where he experimented one more time with Pygeum africanum, or the African cherry. Now, this small fruit contains special phytosterols, nutrients that feed brain receptors, improve intercellular communication, and strengthen the leptin satiety signals. As an added bonus, Pygeum africanum is believed to increase libido. On his trip, Alan also discovered 3 more enhancers that, when combined with the fat-blasting mushrooms, increase their effectiveness. Red raspberries that cause your body to break down the fat within cells more easily. Cat's claw can eliminate dangerous bacteria and restore a healthy microenvironment in your gut, so your digestion is perfect. Now, saw palmetto, that prevents future damage to brain cell receptors thanks to its unique group of antioxidants. After every spoon of powder, my friend felt better and lighter. But what if he mixed them? All of them. He was afraid at first, because those are some powerful, godlike herbs. But people do all sorts of things out of desperation. The result? He lost weight. A lot. Now, the downside, he was afraid of getting too skinny. Now, as soon as I got home from our dinner, I checked out every mushroom, herb, or fruit. Every one of them was linked to countless studies and benefits. All in all, Alan's recipe included 9 wonder ingredients, clinically proven to address the root cause of leptin resistance by turbo boosting and multiplying brain receptors and stopping food cravings. Now, furthermore, the mixture also supported normal blood sugar levels and blood pressure levels, as well as a healthy brain, heart, and joints. I couldn't believe how powerful those ingredients were. Yet, not a single doctor or the weight loss gurus had ever mentioned them to my Angela. All they wanted was to squeeze her dry of every penny. You bet, at that point, I was obsessed, not only to bring my wife back to life, but to help the millions of innocent people who believed the lies of those fat cats. But my enthusiasm was curbed by my new problem. I had spent days trying to source the best ingredients from all over the world, and thousands of dollars to buy them, then weeks to extract the sacred seeds, leaves, and essences. At the end, I had to dry them out, grind them down, and adjust the ratios. The result? I had enough of the mixture to last a week or so. Plus, I was exhausted, and to think Alan was with me this whole time, I don't even want to think of how long it would have taken if I was alone. We needed a plan B. I thought that if I bought the ingredients in bulk and contacted a large, modern, yet discreet manufacturing facility in the USA, that I could take care of everything. I could produce this potent mixture in the quantity I wanted and in tiny, easy-to-swallow capsules. Now, that's when Alan and I started our chase for manufacturing facilities. Now, Alan had one non-negotiable request. The ingredients needed to be the real thing. This means they needed to come from the best places he knew and be sourced and processed the right way in order to keep their properties intact. You wouldn't believe how many counterfeits are on the market. I remember I jumped for joy when we found a facility that was both FDA registered and GMP certified. And while we were at it, we could improve it with modern science and technology. Maybe adjust the quantities, to make it the ultimate formula. Now, both more effective and 100% safe for any medical condition. But there was no hiding it. Without any medical experience, we needed help. That's when we called Dr. Wellington, one of our dear classmates who had over 25 years of experience in internal medicine. Now, I don't know what shocked her the most, Alan's story, the list of natural ingredients, or the fact that my research truly uncovered the root cause of leptin resistance. Your data is incredibly accurate, our doctor said. She agreed to help us on the spot, especially since both her husband and her daughter struggled with weight loss.